the psychology of choosing truth, even in fear. The human pursuit of truth reveals a fascinating paradox. Sometimes we move toward truth, even knowing it will shatter our existing beliefs and cause emotional discomfort. This is similar to the strange impulse to keep touching an aching tooth with your tongue. You know it hurts, yet you can't stop. In today's journey of exploration, we will delve into the deep reasons and mechanisms behind why humans choose truth, even in the midst of fear. Through this journey, encompassing discoveries of modern psychology, philosophical insights, and religious wisdom, we aim to understand the essential motivations for pursuing truth. Chapter 1: The nature of truth and its relationship with humans. What is truth? This question has been continuously raised from Socrates to modern philosophers. In its simplest definition, truth can be described as correspondence with reality. But why does such a simply defined concept evoke such complex emotions in humans? The relationship between humans and truth is complicated. We want to know the truth, yet simultaneously fear it. It's like a moth moving toward light, instinctively knowing that the light might burn it, yet unable to stop. Interestingly, this contradictory attitude is not just a cognitive phenomenon, but is deeply connected to our survival instincts. Realistically speaking, the short-term comfort provided by lies is like fast food. It gives momentary satisfaction, but is harmful to health in the long run. Ironically, we know this, yet tell small lies to ourselves and others every day. Like answering "I'm fine" when asked, "How are you feeling today?" Society functions with these small lies acting as lubricants. But when there's too much of this lubricant, the entire system breaks down. Chapter 2: The psychological foundation of truth-seeking. Modern psychology explains human truth-seeking behavior as a desire for cognitive consistency. According to Leon Festinger's cognitive dissonance theory, humans feel psychological discomfort when experiencing inconsistencies between their beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors, and strive to resolve this. For example, someone who continues to smoke despite knowing cigarettes are harmful to health experiences cognitive dissonance. To resolve this discomfort, they can make two choices: stop smoking, or develop new beliefs like stress is more harmful than smoking. Interestingly, despite our efforts to deceive ourselves, we have an ability to detect truth deep inside. This is the operation of that uncomfortable voice from deep within, namely conscience. Conscience is like a spam folder in our mind. No matter how much we try to ignore it, there's a mysterious power that makes us check it periodically. And sometimes we discover that important mail has been wrongly classified there. That is truth. Chapter 3: The relationship between truth and identity. Truth-seeking goes beyond simple intellectual curiosity and is closely connected to self-identity. The image we have of ourselves, the answer to the question, "Who am I?" swing becomes more solid when based on truth. In this context, self-deception leads to a split in identity. The greater the gap between the external self and the inner self, the greater the psychological instability. As Carl Jung said, "He who avoids his shadow loses his light as well." One of the main causes of the intensifying identity crisis in modern society is the prevalence of such self-deception. We construct fabricated self-images through social media and gradually blur the boundaries between those images and our real selves. This phenomenon can easily be found in our daily lives, like the real difficulties hidden behind glamorous travel photos posted on Instagram. We distort the truth for likes, and we witness how those distorted images gradually become our identity. However, interestingly, such distorted identity always accompanies inner instability. Chapter 4: The stability truth provides. The first reason humans choose truth is the stability it provides. Although the truth may be painful immediately, falsehood breeds endless anxiety and confusion. A lie necessitates another lie to remember. As Mark Twain said, "If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything." A life dependent on falsehood is like a house built on sand. It might look beautiful on the outside, but it collapses when the first wave hits. According to modern neuroscience research, our brains experience additional cognitive burden when lying. This is because the brain has to process both the truth and the manipulated information simultaneously. This cognitive load increases the secretion of cortisol, a stress hormone, and has harmful effects on health in the long term. Interestingly, even chronic liars feel more comfortable when telling the truth. This could be evidence that truth works more harmoniously with our biological systems. Let's think of an example. During school days, you might have had the experience of not doing homework and making the absurd excuse that the dog ate my homework. The momentary relief is soon replaced by a new anxiety. What if the teacher calls my parents? One lie becomes the seed of another lie, and eventually you fall into an endless cycle of anxiety. On the other hand, the simple truth, "I'm sorry, I forgot my homework," provides a sense of liberation after temporary discomfort. Chapter 5. Truth and Direction. The second reason humans choose truth is the clear direction it provides. Knowing the truth allows us to judge where to go and what to choose. For us living in an age of uncertainty, truth serves as an inner compass. Like the North Star in the night sky, it becomes a reference point we can return to when we've lost our way. Many of modern psychological sufferings stem from the loss of direction. Since Nietzsche declared God is dead, modern humans have been drifting in the absence of absolute truth. In this situation, encountering personal truth can be seen as the process of drawing one's own constellation. Especially at moments of important decisions, judgments based on truth bring better results in the long term. For example, facing one's true interests and abilities in career choices brings greater satisfaction than just following social expectations or external rewards. Let's consider a realistic example. Many office workers are unhappy in jobs they've chosen for stable income, rather than what they really want to do. The saying, "just waiting for payday," well illustrates the emptiness brought by inauthentic choices. On the other hand, those who follow their real passions find meaning even in difficulties. For them, the concept of Monday blues doesn't exist. This is because they've set their direction by following their truth. Chapter 6. The relationship between truth and freedom. The third reason humans choose truth is the freedom it provides. Jesus said in John 8:32, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." The profound meaning of this verse goes beyond simple factual recognition. The truth mentioned here refers to the essence of human existence, namely identity in relation to God. When we realize this truth, we can experience true freedom by escaping from the prison of false self. The relationship between freedom and truth is paradoxical. At first glance, truth appears to be a constraint. The recognition that this is reality seems to limit the illusion of infinite possibilities. However, paradoxically, acknowledging this constraint leads to greater freedom. This is like being able to create more efficient machines by understanding the laws of physics. It's not by denying the law of gravity, but by understanding and utilizing it that we can fly. This principle applies in psychotherapy as well. True healing begins not by denying or suppressing trauma, but by acknowledging and confronting it. Just as the moment an addict acknowledges their addiction is the first step to recovery. In modern society, we often use the expression, "don't deceive yourself." This simple phrase contains deep wisdom. Self-deception may provide temporary comfort, but eventually leads to greater bondage. On the other hand, the courage to acknowledge one's limitations and failures paradoxically grants the freedom to overcome them. Chapter 7. The conflict between fear and truth. The biggest obstacle in the journey of truth-seeking is fear. We fear the change, loss, or pain that truth might bring. Plato's allegory of the cave well explains this fear. For a prisoner who has lived his whole life seeing only shadows in a cave, coming out and facing reality is a painful experience. Sunlight dazzles the eyes, and the loss of the familiar shadow world brings an identity crisis. This fear is not just a philosophical allegory, but also an everyday issue. People who postpone health checkups, couples who don't face relationship problems, individuals who ignore financial difficulties. These are all examples of fearing the discomfort that truth might bring. Especially in modern society, the phenomenon of good news bias is prevalent. We want to hear only good news, and this leads us to prefer information that comforts rather than the truth. Social media algorithms further reinforce this bias by selectively showing us information we want to hear. In such an environment, choosing truth is like a revolutionary act against the system. As George Orwell said, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. Truth-seeking requires the courage to challenge the status quo. Interestingly, however, when we overcome fear and face the truth, what we often experience is not the destruction we anticipated, but unexpected liberation. It's like the difference between the fear before riding a scary roller coaster and the exhilaration afterward. The actual experience is usually less terrible than what fear imagines. Chapter 8. The ethical dimension of truth-seeking. Truth-seeking is not just a personal decision, but also an ethical obligation. In Kant's deontological ethics, truthfulness is emphasized as a core virtue. According to him, lying is an act that damages human dignity and autonomy. Furthermore, truth-seeking becomes the foundation of social solidarity. In Habermas's theory of communicative action, claims of truthfulness, legitimacy, and truth are emphasized as prerequisites for rational dialogue. When these prerequisites collapse, the foundation of social trust and cooperation is shaken. In modern society, the post-truth phenomenon further highlights this ethical dimension. In a situation where emotions and personal beliefs have more influence than objective facts, truth-seeking goes beyond a simple personal choice to become a civic duty. In an era where fake news and conspiracy theories abound, pursuing truth demands intellectual honesty. This means overcoming confirmation bias, which selectively accepts only the information one wants to hear, and willingly accepting uncomfortable truths. Today, we often use expressions like my truth and your truth. While such a relativistic approach is meaningful in respecting diversity, the extreme interpretation that all perspectives are equally valid is dangerous. Truth includes subjective experiences, but also has an objective dimension that transcends them. For example, scientific evidence about vaccine effectiveness and personal doubts do not have equal value. The former is knowledge that has undergone systematic verification, while the latter is an unverified personal belief. True intellectual honesty begins with acknowledging this difference. Chapter 9. The spiritual dimension of truth-seeking. Truth-seeking goes beyond simple intellectual and ethical issues to have a spiritual dimension. In all major religious traditions of the world, truth is understood as an encounter with ultimate reality. In Christianity, Jesus declares in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life, emphasizing that truth is not just propositional knowledge, but a personal being. This suggests that truth-seeking has a relational dimension, not just information collection. In Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths teach that facing the truth of suffering is the first step to liberation. This shows that when we face uncomfortable truths without avoiding them, we can paradoxically experience freedom. In Islam, the concept of haqq emphasizes the connection between truth, justice, and divinity. Truth becomes the foundation of right relationships and actions, not just a matter of facts. These religious traditions suggest that truth-seeking is connected to the fundamental meaning of human existence, beyond simple intellectual curiosity or practical need. We have a deep desire to transcend our limitations and connect with a greater reality through truth. St. Augustine said, "Truth dwells in the human soul." This means that truth-seeking is as much an inward journey as an outward one. We read books, listen to lectures, and engage in conversations to find truth. But ultimately, all of these are processes that resonate with the truth already existing within us. For modern people, this spiritual dimension of truth-seeking seems even more important. For us experiencing poverty of meaning amid material abundance, truth becomes a compass that points to the meaning and direction of life, not just facts. Chapter 10. Practical Approach: How to Choose Truth in Fear. Having understood the theoretical importance of truth-seeking, let's now look at practical approaches. How can we choose truth, even in fear? First, we need an attitude that acknowledges fear, but is not dominated by it. Fear is not an enemy, but information. We should listen to its message, but remember that the final decision-making authority lies with us. Second, a gradual approach is effective. Rather than trying to face all truths at once, face truth as much as you can handle. This is like the process of eyes adapting to darkness. Third, community support is important. The journey of seeking truth is too arduous to walk alone. Solidarity with those who share the same values becomes a powerful resource for overcoming fear. Fourth, it is necessary to improve the quality of internal dialogue. The pattern of words we say to ourselves greatly affects the journey of truth-seeking. Words of encouragement like, "This is difficult, but knowing the truth will make it better," are more helpful than saying, "I can't handle this." Fifth, remember that truth is experienced and enjoyed in relationships, not theory. When we seek truth as embodied in everyday choices and relationships, not as an abstract concept, we can experience its practical power. As a practical example, start with the practice of being honest about your emotions. We often cannot honestly answer the simple question, what emotion am I feeling right now? Negative emotions like anger, fear, and jealousy are especially difficult to acknowledge. However, this small honesty in acknowledging such emotions can be the first step toward greater truth. Also, take time every evening to honestly evaluate your actions and choices of the day. This is similar to the daily reflection practiced by ancient Stoic philosophers and is an effective way to add truthfulness to your life. Chapter 11. The relationship between truth and courage. Choosing truth requires courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite fear. As Aristotle said, courage is the foundation of all virtues. Modern psychologist Brené Brown focuses on the relationship between vulnerability and authenticity. According to her research, the courage of vulnerability, acknowledging one's imperfections and weaknesses, becomes the foundation of true connection and growth. Our society often misunderstands vulnerability as weakness. However, paradoxically, vulnerability that acknowledges one's failures and limitations is the expression of true strength. The courage to say, "I don't know everything. I made a mistake. I need help." These are important steps toward truth. In the Bible, the relationship between courage and truth is also importantly addressed. In Psalm 51, King David found the path to recovery through the courage to acknowledge his sin. Jesus said, "The truth will set you free," but it took courage to accept that truth. From this perspective, avoiding truth is succumbing to fear, and facing truth is an act of courage that transcends fear. The most meaningful growth in our lives often comes through such courageous confrontations with truth. Chapter 12. Conclusion: the integration of truth and love. So far, we have explored why and how humans choose truth, even in fear. Finally, let's think about the relationship between truth and love. If there is only truth without love, it can be cold and destructive. Conversely, if there is only love without truth, it is blind and ultimately unhelpful. True change and growth are possible when truth and love are integrated. In Ephesians 4:15, Paul says, "Speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of Him who is the head, that is, Christ." This suggests that truth is most effective when delivered in the context of love. The integration of truth and love goes beyond simply speak the truth gently. It recognizes that the purpose of truth-seeking is ultimately love, the true flourishing and growth of oneself and others. The Bible describes God as the God of truth and love in Psalm 31 verse 5 and 1 John 4 verse 8. This shows that truth and love are ultimately one. When we seek truth, we are seeking not just facts, but truth that is the source and expression of love. In the end, the reason humans choose truth even in fear is because they discover true freedom, love, and life in it. John 8:32's, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free," is not just a promise, but a declaration revealing the deep essence of human existence. Through this journey, we have seen how our lives can be transformed when we choose truth over fear. Although that path may sometimes be arduous and painful, freedom, peace, and the discovery of true self await at its end. The Bible is the oldest and most reliable guide for this journey of truth-seeking. As said in Psalm 119 verse 105, "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." Considering this confession and following this light, we can move beyond the shadows of fear into the light of truth. Closing words. Thank you sincerely for joining this deep exploratory journey today. I hope this audiobook about the psychology of choosing truth, even in fear, has given you a small insight and courage in your life. If this content has been helpful, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We provide content that helps your spiritual and psychological growth with new topics every week. By pressing the subscribe button and setting up notifications, you can be the first to meet new content whenever it's uploaded. Also, sharing your thoughts and experiences in the comments section will be a great help in creating our next content. I pray that God's wisdom and peace accompany your journey of truth-seeking. Thank you once again for listening to the end. I will return with a deeper topic next time.